Mrs. Billy Jo Stone, President of the Board of Education. Mrs. Linda Dan, Vice President. Mr. Gary Gillings, Secretary. And our honored guest today, Mr. Emil Sztanyo. Today we hear from one of our very own, Captain Emil Sztanyo, who grew up in Prescott and graduated from Whittemore-Prescott in 1970. After high school, he attended college at Grand Rapids Baptist, now known as Cornerstone, and graduated in 1974 with a Bachelor of Arts from Michigan State University. Mark pursued a career in aviation and was fortunate enough to fly 27 years for Delta Airlines. Currently, he pilots a Boeing 767, flying the troops all over the world for Omni Air International, just returning from Japan. Mark's been 43 years married to another Whittemore-Prescott graduate, and his high school sweetheart, Barbara Britt Sztanyo, is in the audience today. They raised 3 boys, have 10 grandchildren, and live in Florence, Kentucky. Yet, he still roots for the Tigers, the Spartans, and the Whittemore-Prescott Cardinals. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Emil Sztanyo to the podium for his video.
School board, the superintendent, the principal, my name is just listening, the teachers, the entire staff, parents, families, friends, and the 2016 grads of Whittemore-Prescott High School. That has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? The 2016 grads. Congratulations to you all. Now, I'm very honored to be here, and it's really exciting and fun. You know, as I watched you march in, I couldn't help but flashback. 46 years ago, as we marched in, I tripped on my gown and almost did a face plant. As 2 of my classmates who thought they had flunked kind of glided in as if they were on air, you know, that kind of thing. But I want to give a shout out to Emma and Katie. Fantastic job. If you guys are representative of this class, and if this class is representative of the youth of America, we've got nothing to worry about. You did a really good job. One more time for the graduates 2016. I love this place. It was home for me. But no one would have accused me of being a good student when I was here. In fact, when my English teacher asked me to write a sentence with a double negative in it, I wrote, "Billy is ugly and he smells." Oh, there's a double negative for you. When my history teacher asked me, "Mark, where was the Declaration of Independence signed?" I thought, at the bottom? I joke, but I tell you, sitting around the grads today are people, many people, who've been prepared by this place and graduated from here and went on to do wonderful, wonderful things, and you can too. Now a short story with some takeaways. The date was May of 1944. During World War II, the location was Anzio, Italy, one of the sites of the bloodiest and deadliest stalemates in the entire World War. At dawn, a night fighter limped his aircraft back to his home base with a failed engine. And there were 2 generals that witnessed that emergency landing. They were ordered to be there in order to get a very, very important intelligence. They soon talked to that night fighter pilot, and they volunteered him for a secret and dangerous mission. That night, the four of them would crowd into a two-man fighter and fly low level up the Liri Valley for their first reconnaissance mission to a smattering of resistance. The second pass was different though, as the guns they were attempting to entice to come out and play did. The third pass was incredible because it seemed like every weapon the enemy had lit up the sky, and it was an awesome display and even beautiful if it weren't so deadly. As they pulled up from that third pass, the young aviator turned to the generals, and without regard to his own neck, he asked them, "Do you want to try her again?" And the generals said, "Oh no, we marked our positions well." And with that, they went home, and the blueprint was crafted for the fourth battle of Monte Cassino. Within a few days, there was a breakout, and just shortly after that, about this time of year, 72 years ago, and before Normandy, Clark's Fifth Army marched into Rome victorious. The Nazis' southern front had been shattered, and the war had turned. Now, that young aviator, with the weight of the world on his shoulders, risked it all. And in a real sense, he did so just like many other unsung war heroes. He did it for you and for me. And who was that man who was willing to die that others could live in freedom and have a better life? Well, that man was the greatest hero, my greatest hero from the greatest generation, my father, Emil Sztanyo, who passed from this life to glory last September. To be honest, when Michelle called me to do the commencement, I was a little surprised. I about dropped my cup of coffee, and I thought for a moment I could tell a lot of flying stories because I've been involved in aviation for my entire life. But I didn't accept the invite for that reason. I accepted it because of my dad and who he was. You see, after the war, he came back from the war and with a group of other very, very fine local people worked hard to organize and build this very school district. When they're organizing had advanced and they needed land, he and he alone, representing the organizing committee, talked to CQ president, approached the ranch manager about the possibilities. And he was surprised to be offered this 40 acres where we're at today for the sum of $1. So the school district was built here, and then he went on after that period of time to serve on the school board 25 years, 21 straight years as the school board president, standing at this very spot, handing out hundreds and hundreds of diplomas with a handshake and a smile. Now, it was a common trait for the organizers of that generation to live for others. There was all about others. In fact, it was all about others and improving supporting their neighbors and improving their communities. Well, to be sure, this day is about you. But I'm speaking here of the more important life principle. It's not about you. That line, "It's not about you," is the opening sentence of one of this century's most important books and most read books, entitled "The Purpose-Driven Life," written by Whittemore. Now, Barb and I would like to give you a copy of that book as our way of congratulating you for your accomplishment. And we'll be in the library afterwards to hand you your copy with a handshake and a smile. On a different wartime mission, Dad lost control of the aircraft and on takeoff and crashed. And the airplane was just a total ball of mangled metal. He and his RO were desperately and frantically attempting to get out of the airplane before it burned, but he couldn't. And then he looked over his other shoulder and he realized that the entire right side of the airplane was missing. So he simply unbuckled and walked to safety. Grads, here's the message. Persistence. Persistence is the fuel for your success. In life, you'll face doors that appear blocked or jammed, and your pathway may appear impassable. But it may not be the end of the story. Stay persistent, look all around you, be willing to change directions, and don't forget to look over your other shoulder. The last tip for what I call Emil's top 3, live for others, be persistent. The last tip is something very related, but independently just as important, is to be positive. My dad would often say to me, there's no such word as can't. And he would tell me that often as a young high school teen growing up in Prescott, Michigan, when I was faced with something that seemed impossible to accomplish. Granted, this is your day, yet many questions remain, and it's easy for negative thoughts to invade your mind and keep you from setting high goals. WP grads, as all grads, can easily jump on the no-can-do train. In fact, you can't gather the support of so many independent communities and consolidate a school district this big. You can't win state titles in football, wrestling, shop, and others. You can't become a teacher, a mechanical engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, or even a pilot and fly thousands of people all over the world. You can't. But I'm here to remind you what my dad so often told me, son, there's no such word as can't. No, you can't change the direction of the wind, but you can adjust the sails to reach your destination. With God's help, you can do so very much for this world. Remain positive. About a month ago, I was in Bucharest, and I was thinking about this day, and I was thinking about you, and I was thinking about that some of you would go on to do great and mighty things. But then I knew something was wrong with that whole thought, that whole notion. Because I'm not here to ask some of you to be special. I'm here. But as sure as I'm standing here today, if you'll live purpose-driven lives and live them for others, because after all, it's not solely about you. If you'll stay persistent, be willing to change directions and look over your other shoulder, if you'll remain positive, dropping the word can't from your vocabulary, jumping on the can-do train, if you'll do these 3 things coming to you directly from my dad and 3 generations ago, you'll be fueling your own success. And you'll be a monster smashing hit with your family and friends, and the world will be the beneficiary. 2016 grads, we congratulate you and are proud of you, and we wish you God's best for this day and every day moving forward. And as I close, I'd like to give you the same send-off that aviators have given one another for decades upon decades when they're embarking on a new and adventurous journey. In fact, they gave this send-off to Charles Lindbergh before his epic transatlantic ocean crossing. To one Cardinal graduate, to all, Godspeed.
Thank you, Mr. Sztanyo, for your inspirational words and clear commitment to education. Thank you. Woo, we're almost there. And now, graduates, by the authority vested in me by the state of Michigan, the Whittemore-Prescott Board of Education, and the Superintendent of Schools, I hereby certify that the following seniors have met the requirements for high school graduation. Will the designated seniors please come forward?
Catherine Grace Mervyn. Laura Day Marquez. Emma Lonita Manny